Hello everyone, welcome to WeBotApp. This is Pavan and today we are starting the first chapter of our web hosting series, and the first chapter will be covering the topic of what is a web server. So a web server is normally a computer, and the three major components that we have in a web server is the processor and the RAM with one storage. So the more powerful RAM and processor we have, we will get better speed, and the more storage we have, we will be able to keep or upload a huge amount of data. A server always have more resources than compared to a normal PC or maybe a personal computer, and this is just because of the security and for backup purposes. So let us now go to one website, and the name of this website or the company is Lenovo, and here we can see a server which is ThinkSystem ST550. So basically servers are available in different shapes and sizes. The most popular shapes and sizes of the servers are rack servers, tower servers, and blade servers. I think they don't have blade servers. Rack, tower, and blade servers are the most popular types of servers that we can see in most of the companies. So the size of a tower server is in vertical in shape, which means that it will occupy a larger amount of space in order to keep the server in a server room or in a data center. And on the other hand, if we take a rack servers are kept in rack servers are kept on the racks. If I click on the rack server, we can see that this is a type of rack server which we can easily keep it in the racks. We can keep several rack servers in one single rack. Alright, so let us now go to the server which I have opened earlier, that is the tower server. And here I will be choosing this server, which is Lenovo ThinkSystem ST550 tower server. And let me click on the 360-degree product view option, which is now loading. And here at first we will be clicking on the model, and here we can see they have several types of models of this type of server. And if I click on ample storage, we will be able to see that this server have several number of bays. Bays means in one single bay we can store one single hard disk, maybe one SSD. And NVMe, I think NVMe is not possible to store in the racks. And as NVMe is a new concept, so I have not worked with any physical server which have NVMe. But for the time being, let us discuss about the servers which have several bays and where we can insert hard disk and SSD disk. So here in this server, we can see there are 0 to 15, which means we have 16 slots or 16 bays where we can insert hard disks or SSD disk. So we can create a RAID system, which means that if we upload any data, let's say you have a website and you are uploading any page on your website, or you are creating a page on your website, the data of that page will be stored not only in one single hard disk or in one single SSD disk, but in 2 or 3 types of disks, so that if one disk gets destroyed, or maybe if we find any malfunction in one disk, then the other disk will keep on running. And what we can do in server is that if any part of the server gets malfunctioned or maybe broken, get affected with malware, then we will not be switching off the server. We will simply be taking out that part which is causing the problem. Maybe this first hard disk, if it is causing the problem, then the server will be kept on running. We will simply take out that hard disk which is causing the problem. We will fix it outside the server, and once done, we will again insert it in the server. So this means that if we keep the data in 2 different hard disks, and out of the 2 hard disks, one gets broken, one gets destroyed or maybe malfunctioned, then the other backup hard disk will keep on working, and there is no single chance of turning the server to the off state, or we should not shut down the server. Alright, so here we can see in a server we can store several number of hard disks or SSD disk or NVMe, and one can be used as the primary drive and the other could be used as the secondary drive. And as we can insert 16 number of hard disks or SSD disk in this server, so we can use 8 disks as the primary disk and the other 8 disks as the secondary or the backup disk. All right. So if we now go to the rear view section, we will now be able to see that everything, the power unit, maybe the internet points, all these things have at least one backup. Here we can see 2 SMPS. If the first SMPS or the power unit gets affected by, maybe if it is not working or malfunction, then the other will be in the running state, which again means that we don't have to switch off the server. If we go to interior, we will be able to see that this server have 2 motherboards. Okay, so on the left hand side we can see one motherboard, and on the right hand side we can see one motherboard. On the first motherboard we can see one processor, and on the second motherboard as well we can see the second processor. Here we can see several number of slots where we can insert the RAM. All right, and on the right hand side on the second motherboard as well we can see several slots of inserting the RAM. So a server simply means that we have more resources, more hard disk, more RAM, more processors, so that if one disk or if one processor gets malfunctioned, then the backup or the secondary resource will keep on running, and there won't be any chance to make the server off. All right, so this is meant by more resources. So we have now learned that the server have a CPU, and inside the CPU we can see a RAM, we can see a processor, we can see a hard disk or maybe SSD disk, or maybe we can see several processors, several RAMs and several hard disks. And once the CPU gets ready, the next important thing is we have to install an operating system in that server. So the operating systems are of 2 types. The first type of operating system is called the open source or free operating system, and the second type of operating system is called paid or licensed operating system. So if we talk about open source operating system, we have Linux, we have Android, and if we talk about the licensed or paid operating system, we have Windows, Mac, iOS. So every year we have to renew the license. From the licensed or paid operating system, we have to pay a certain amount of fee in order to use that operating systems. So once we get the CPU, once we install the operating system, the next important thing is we have to connect the CPU with an internet connection. Now this internet connection can again be divided into 2 types. We can connect either a static IP or we can connect either a dynamic IP. So let us now understand what is an IP address and what is a static and dynamic IP address. So IP address simply means Internet Protocol address of that computer, and we can see 2 types of IP addresses. The first one is static and the second one is dynamic. So if we want to browse the internet through our mobile, through our PC, through our laptop, we can either connect a static or a dynamic IP address. In a static or dynamic IP address, the IP address keeps on changing. Maybe after 15 days, after 7 days, after 2 days, the dynamic IP address which has been assigned to you right now will be changed after a certain amount of time. And if we talk about the static IP address, the static IP address which we will be getting from the ISP or internet service provider, that won't be changing at any moment of time. And if we have to create a server, we definitely need a static IP address, because if we build a server with one IP address right now, and if that IP address gets changed after 3 days, after 4 days, then the server won't be accessible. So this is the reason we need one static IP address. So in a nutshell, a server is a computer with more resources, and we have to install an operating system in that server, and that server should be connected to a static IP address. So in the next lecture, we will be learning about terminal commands. If you want to download this PDF resource, which I have recently demonstrated for this video, the link is in the description. Subscribe this channel if you have not done yet, and let's meet in the next lecture.